Welcome to Pocket Watch Podcast. I'm Zach.
Cruz.
Absolutely no one.
Crickets.
Yep, you got Duo Dolo today, guys.
Duo Dolo. We got something cool for you guys today, though. Thanks for tuning in for another week. Whatever platform you're on, like, follow, comment, share, subscribe, do everything. Let somebody know if you think they like the content we're putting out. Yeah, man. Thanks for listening for another week. We got a nice little episode for you today. What else? What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something.
About clips or what?
You said what?
Clips?
No. That's behind the scenes. That we won't. We'll only tell people that request information on
Ring and range or no?
No, nothing. Just we got some cool guests coming through too. Just stay tuned. Let us know if there's something you guys want to see or something you want to hear. I think like at this point, man, we got a nice base, and we want to cater to y'all, man. We want to keep this base that we got. We talked about it on the last episode with the wet slap guy, Brant, and I like what we're doing. We're slow building it, consistency, because we check. You know, some people do things different ways. We're doing it our way, and so far I like the results, man. Thank you guys for tuning in, bro.
Facts.
Bro,
week after
people.
week.
Yeah. Week after week. It's a little different.
Dedication.
Mm-hmm. So let's get to the topic, man. Let's get through this. I like it. Grieving. In general, just the different ways people go when you go through something traumatizing or whatever. Mainly, we'll probably focus on like when people have a loss, right? Like a loss when somebody passes away and stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting the way that different people grieve. And I know, for those of you listening that have lost somebody or whatever, 100%, it's weird because you, like, maybe when a person's alive or something like that, you think about, oh, what if they got into a car accident? You might freaking cry in your bed or something like that just thinking about it. You know what I mean? And then, like, when it actually happens, you realize, like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's weird. I want to get to it. Because this was inspired by Zach, which is a great topic, but I kind of want to get my shit off in relation to that because a while back, my cousin passed away, right? Mm-hmm. In a car accident. He was 22, and it was super sad. It's the saddest thing ever. And in relation to grieving, I thought it was interesting because I noticed, like, I was crying more than, like, my aunt, who's the mom, the mother of the son that passed away, right? And oh my God, I couldn't imagine. Like, I think that's the worst thing ever to lose in your family, right? Like, or like an immediate person to pass away is your child.
That shit's deep. That shit hits different.
It's so different, man.
Yeah.
But like, it's just funny. Like, I was sitting back and noticing like the different ways. When you kind of brought this topic up, I was just thinking of the different ways everybody was grieving because the whole family went up to support him and stuff.
Yeah.
And, me and my cousins and stuff that were close with him, I mean, it was just sad, right? Like, we were just crying, whatever the case is. But then, my aunt, she's like really strong personality.
But the thing is, though, is also you don't know what happens behind closed doors.
No,
because sometimes people try to hold it together around family members.
Yes,
and then behind the doors, they're breaking and falling apart worse than anybody else.
Yes, like no, I don't say this like she was broken down.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's a child.
When we left, like that's when it really sets into when everybody kind of leaves and stuff like that. But I think like. That's part of the grieving process. Like I can tell like people like to stay busy in times like that and stuff when it's like really weighing on them and stuff. And I could tell like she's just a super strong woman, and she was always like my mom used to talk about like when they were little girls, she was the tomboy girl and she was the one that used to just beat girls up all the time and shit like that. Like it's funny hearing about that, like seeing her as like a grown ass adult and stuff. Yeah. But she was just like I just noticed like she was. You could tell she was very distraught, but she was still like her and put together and like just she had to do something. She was just like, all right, what you guys need this? What are we doing? This and this and that. And that's part, that's it's in the same thought, like you just said, doesn't mean she's not going through it maybe the worst. You know, and I'm not talking about everybody else. I'm just talking about her and her husband, right? The parents. You could tell my uncle was distraught and didn't give a fuck who was around. Like you could tell. I mean, he was just
letting it go. Exactly
like how you would expect somebody that lost their child, right? And then the grieving process for my aunt, where they equally feel the loss, but like her process was a little different, where she's like, I gotta stay busy, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And maybe part of it too, which is weird when you're going through the grieving process, especially like when you're with a partner and you guys both lost something, is like maybe she was trying to be strong for him a little bit. Like, if I let go and he lets go, this is gone. We're done.
Nobody's holding it together.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's little things, and it's just interesting, the grieving process, because the other part about it is, I bet you if you asked her about it before it happens, like she couldn't have, you don't know how you're gonna grieve until it happens.
Until it actually happens,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you like if they say, well, I'm gonna take this person from you, in the moment, like you're gonna cry, you're gonna like, it's the worst thing, and I'm sure like when you find out, that's the moment. But at the same time, you can't. It's not. Like, there's people that don't cry when people die, right? And stuff like that. And it's like, doesn't mean it doesn't affect them. It's just some people just grieve differently. You know what I mean? And like, you got to wait till you're alone or whatever the case is. But yeah, like different ways of grieving and the process and whatnot. Same with me. Like, Justin lost a cousin too, like a couple years ago. And he kind of asked me about it. Just like, yo, what did, like, this is fucked up. Same thing, young, car accident, whatever. And I'm like, bro, you just gotta. As like my grieving process with him was like, I got little mementos that I know that was him, and stuff like that. And I keep that shit at work. Like, it's at my desk. Like, I'll find myself, here and there throughout the week, like checking, looking at the, it's like a little koozie, and I put it on the cup that holds my pens, and it's his koozie. Like, it was the Carter A. Geezy Foundation and stuff that they made after he passed away. But
that's
like,
pretty dope.
That was like, that's something you got to have something, and then it's like that, you use that to kind of push you and strive, and that does help you grieve. Like, when you're busting ass and then you think you got a bad day or a hard day, or you think, oh, this sucks and stuff like that, and then you see stuff, you see those little mementos or something, you're just like,
damn, I gotta wake up today.
I get to wake up today, bro. Like, exactly. I get to live this life or whatever. Like, for him specifically, the way I see it, like, it was the week before graduation that he passed away. So he hit his girl, who was gonna be his wife, who we still hang out with all the time when we go up to Iowa. She forced him to go to school, right? Because his family's well off. He didn't, and they had a business. You don't have to go to school.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was always kind of battling it, like, motivated, trying to stay motivated for it and stuff. And she just kept pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And then he finished. And it's just, for her, I can't even imagine, like, like I made him keep going, and who's to say these chains of events, you can't think that way. You know what I mean? But like, who's to say these chains of events didn't lead to him being in Iowa City and not in Dubuque? Yeah, and that's why he had to make that long drive. It's fucked up.
Something I've learned is no matter what you do, you cannot. I mean, I'm religious. You don't have to agree if you don't agree. But for me, no matter what you do, you can't escape God's plan. You know what I mean? And you can't escape God's timing. No matter, if it's your time, it's your time, no matter what. So like, I'm a firm believer in that. You know what I mean?
One way or another, that was the plan.
Exactly.
That was what's gonna happen. But yeah, I mean, that's just a good, example. That's a story of mine about going through that. I wanted to get that off because I know you got kind of a different experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But before we get to like the main one, I actually wanted to talk about, because you talking about that kind of remember, like, made me rethink about when my grandpa passed.
Different.
Yeah, it was whenever that happened, it was crazy though, because like during that process, I cried about his passing, but in the hospital the night that he did pass, I didn't cry. Mm-hmm. While everybody around me was just breaking down in tears. But for me, it was because I was in the hospital for him for days leading up to his passing. And he was suffering, man. That man was suffering in that hospital. And me just seeing him suffer, like, from the moment that I got over there to Oklahoma, I didn't leave his side. I was there the whole entire time. And I literally slept at the hospital. I didn't brush my teeth or nothing. I was horrible. But basically like I saw him suffering for all those days and what he went through all those days in the hospital. So when his time came, I was like, this man's at peace, bro. Like, this man's not fighting. This man's not hurting. This man's not struggling right now. I was like, that man actually made it somewhere comfortable. You know what I mean? And so I found closure in that. And that was comforting to me, knowing that he's not suffering no more. But everybody else in that room, man, everybody was breaking down like crazy. I remember sitting around and staring, and I'm like, he's on to a better place though.
Yeah.
Like, why is everybody sad for?
Yeah.
But I have cried since then. Like, there are moments that like I'll be driving, a song will come up or a memory will come through, and I'm like, tear, you know?
Yep.
But on the contrary to that, when I don't know, you know John Zay, right?
Right.
When John and Zay passed, that shit broke me. I cried a lot.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that teared me up with that was the fact that they were so young. They died in their early 20s. You know what I mean?
Different. Yeah.
So it's like they had so much life to live. My grandpa, he already lived a long life. He did a lot of things he wanted to do, you know, and he was suffering. These people were so young. They had so much life to live ahead of them.
It's such a big loss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, that hit me differently. And that was definitely like when I found out, and shit, the night that we found out, you were with us.
Yeah.
That night. And that shit hit different. That I cried over that a bunch. That shit did bother me, and it actually kind of did hit home a little bit to me to make me realize that like death can be at your front door any moment.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's like a rude awakening, because you see older family members dying, you see family dying, uncles, aunts, stuff like that, whatever around you dying. But when you see kids you grew up with dying, it hits different. I feel like you know what I mean. That definitely knocks at your front door a little bit different.
And it hits different too, because like I feel like we've had friends we grew up with that went to like prison and shit. But like I guess mentally you could justify it. Like, you know what? They were living a life and they got caught. Yeah. They knew their risk.
And the sad thing about that is that they never found their way out.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's the sad side on that is like.
But death is so final. And it has nothing to do with like who the person is, right? Or nothing.
Man, Eric Gold, man. It's crazy because I've learned that like some of the nicest people that we grew up with.
Rest in peace, Eric. Yeah.
Big fact. Bubba Chop. But I've learned that some of the nicest people that I knew growing up with for that passed away at an early age. And it makes you really wonder, like, because, you know, they have that saying, it's God always, what is it? God always takes his strongest soldiers first or something like that. What is it? How does the saying go?
That sounds good.
I forgot what it is. It's, oh man, what is it? It's like God takes, I forgot what it is. I can't believe I forgot it. But it's like an expression basically saying like the good die young, essentially. You know what I mean? And man, it's true, because you meet a lot of people that are great souls, and some of like the greatest souls I feel like I've met have passed. You know what I mean? Like in the prime example of that, Eric Gold was probably one of the most nicest and friendliest people in the world. And it's crazy because you see him, he's this big burly dude, you know, and you see him and like you're like, oh, that's a fearful person that you could be imitated by looking at him. But that's the biggest teddy bear in the world. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like it just really makes you think that sometimes the good do die young, and like sometimes the best go. But I always feel like it hits me differently whenever it's somebody that I feel like has a long life ahead of them. Because Eric broke me too. I cried over that.
Yeah.
But what we were going to talk about today, what actually initiated this topic, was that I found out earlier in this week that my biological dad passed away. If you guys did not listen to the traumas episode, go listen to that, because you might be able to get a little bit of insight of where my stance is on this and everything. So, and what initiated this conversation was just because of the fact that like my biological dad was not the best person. He was not a good person. And throughout his life, he left a lot of negative things on this world, a lot of traumas on this world with a lot of people. And the guy lied a lot. The guy was really manipulative. The guy was abusive, verbally, mentally, physically, in many ways, you know. And I mean, like I said, just go to the traumas episode. You guys can go hear all of that and everything. And when it really initiated, is like his passing, and I see a lot of my siblings and other family members, and you know, like a lot of them are the ones that, some of them lived through the worst of of him, like the negative side of him. You know what I mean? And I see them talking about like how amazing of a person he is and all these different things. And it really makes you wonder, like why do we always celebrate like the positivity and like in people whenever they pass? You know what I mean? Like, is it, the question is it okay for somebody to pass and be like, that person was not a great person?
Like, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's one of those things too, where it's like, is it okay to, when a person passes, to think that way and feel that way versus like publicly do that, right?
Yeah.
And there's a fine line with that too, I think. Like, I don't know if anybody deserves to be publicly shitted on after they pass away.
Yeah.
But depending, right? Like, cause we talk about it all the time. Like we with the John episode a while back when we were doing the security camera footage and shit over there or whatever. Like, we talked about like, how do you want to leave this world, or like what's you know, what's the thing you want to do before you pass away?
What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Right.
And a lot of people, you know, me too, like that's an overarching thing with my goals and shit like that is, you know, how do you want to leave the world? Like what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Like how do you want to be remembered when you die and stuff like that? Because at the end of the day, like life is finite, you know, like when we're in it, it's long. Like when you're at work and you're looking at the clock ticking, that takes a long time, you know, but at the end of the day, it's just a couple hours, you know, it's just a day, it's a week, it's a month, it's a year. And it's a life, and it's very finite. Like, we read history books and you realize how quickly, you know, you read a story about somebody's life very quickly, you know, and to them that was a lifetime, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but
that's all they knew.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's a quick process, and it's kind of like morbid type of, you know, conversation, but it's true, bro. But but just like we fight to leave a great legacy when we pass, you could leave a shitty legacy.
You can.
You could leave a shitty trail. You could have been, you know, it's very true, man. And that, speaking of grieving, that will directly affect how you grieve, you know?
Yeah.
But what I noticed is, regardless if they left a shitty legacy or not, depending on how close that person is to you, you might still yearn for a certain closure. Yeah. Right? Especially with dads. Like, that's the movie, you know, plot for like so many things is, my dad was a piece of shit, he died, and it fucked with the kid no matter what, because he never got closure. Whether he wanted to say fuck you or wanted to say this or that, or no, you know, try to, you know, help or see him through to the end or whatever, there's some closure is still necessary, and that's a big part of grief.
Yeah, absolutely.
But does it help with closure if it's a shitty legacy, you know, or what?
Yeah, definitely. No, and like to kind of stem off of what we were talking about a little bit before, like I was able to kind of get my end all kind of closure in this, because a few days before he passed, so he remarried for the 4th time, and his current wife, or his current widow, whatever you want to call it, I don't know the correct terminology, but his current wife at the time of his passing, she had 2 kids. With somebody else before they got married.
And this is how much, like, you were how old when you were dealing with him?
Oh, man, it started when I was probably like 7 or so.
So, like, let's just say 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's been
20
a long time.
years, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's been 19. But and just for reference, for people who didn't hear the trauma, I cut him off in February of 2011. Is when the last time I spoke to him, because that's when I went to the hospital when I was burned, and that's when I cut him off, and I haven't spoke to him since. The last time I wrote him, I said fuck you, and so that was the last thing I ever said to him. But I kind of got my closure through it all, because before I get to that, it's crazy because I always felt like whenever he died, I'd be happy. I always felt like the day that he died, I'd be like, fuck yeah, that fucker fucking died. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I didn't have happiness, but I didn't feel sadness either. Right. I was really neutral about it. When I heard it, I was shocked. I was like, oh shit, he died. Yeah, I was like, whoa. Yeah. I was like, what? He really died? And then cause my sister told me, my younger sister, she's like, yeah, he passed away and everything like that. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Cause like, you know, you just it's like shock. You heard somebody's dead, you know, it's like kind of, I think it's a reaction to be shocked.
Yeah, when Hitler died, everybody was shocked.
Yeah, it's like,
you know what I mean?
I don't think a lot of people believed it. They're like, no, he didn't.
Anyways.
But yeah, so I was initially shocked. And then that day I definitely thought about it a lot that day. And I was thinking, I was like, man, because whenever I thought he'd die, like I hear of his death, I'd be like, that fucker got what he deserved, you know? But I didn't feel happiness, but I also didn't really feel sadness. You know, I didn't really feel like I did actually feel a little bit of sadness. I felt sadness for his new wife and for them.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll get into that a little bit later on, but like, even though he has been like, he has done what he has done with them, they still really love him. And I felt empathy for them because it's just the fact that it's like, I know that's gotta be really, really hard on them. You know what I mean? And, so I definitely send my regards to them. So I definitely felt empathy for that. And I think that's why only when my sadness ended. I didn't think I felt sadness for his passing. But I forgot where I was going to go with this. But yeah, so my closure. So basically, the way I was able to get my closure through this was because a few days before he actually passed his from his new marriage, the oldest daughter reached out to me, and oh, what's up, Jakey bro?
Let's go.
You wait for me to get here?
No, you didn't text.
This man Jacob just pulled up.
Jacob just pulled up. Yo, we were just getting deep too, bro.
Yeah, bro.
This one's quick too.
Are you in the shot?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's in. I see him.
You're in the shot?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. But so basically I was able to get my closure through it all because what happened was that a few days before he had passed, from his new marriage, the oldest daughter reached out to me and she was talking to me and she was telling me like a lot of things that he was saying wasn't adding up and stuff like that. So she kind of wanted to like reach out to me and like hear a lot of the story. She had reached out to a lot of the other siblings and other family members and stuff like that. And so basically, hold on, give me 1 second. All right, cool. So she had reached out to me to see what the story was, why I no longer spoke with him, and why there was so much bad blood between us and everything. So basically, I told her the whole story about everything that I went through with him and stuff like that. And then she kind of went out and told me that like he's lied about a bunch of stuff to her family. He actually put her mom in a bunch of debt because he lied and said he owned 15 restaurants in Florida, which he never did.
And when you were listening to this, you were like, Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And she had told me that how back in the Philippines, he had like laid his hands on him and like choked her and hit her and stuff like that and kind of abused her, definitely excessively, especially for what you should do to, at that time, probably a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
You know what I mean? You shouldn't be choking. You shouldn't be punching a 12-year-old girl.
I always think about that, bro. Like, it's kind of a little bit of like your sister went through it, but it's kind of a blessing that like you were the older brother. She was only dealt with him at a certain capacity.
My oldest sister though, she got it bad, bro.
Bad, yeah.
My oldest sister got it bad.
Yeah, I always think about that with me. Like I'm so happy I was a boy.
Yeah,
like, with
exactly.
My dad's shit. Or
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
but so she was 12. You know, I think she was like 12 years old at the time when that happened or so.
That's fucked up.
So, but supposedly, I guess he wasn't that abusive later on. I guess maybe because if he actually passed away from a heart issues. So I'm assuming that maybe he just got weaker or whatever. But so that had happened. So she was telling me all these things about how he had lied and everything like that. So what the whole point I was getting at with that is that I feel like through me having that conversation with her a few days before his passing, it made closure for me a lot easier because of the fact that whenever I did hear the news and I was able to sit back and think, I was like, okay, so I know I'm not going to have to ever worry about like the thought process of like, okay, what if he did change before he had passed? If he had changed, then like maybe I had missed the changed man that he had become.
Yeah, like
maybe I missed those moments in his life.
That's,
you know,
the fucked up part of closure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like now I feel like I don't have to worry about that because of the fact that me speaking with her basically confirmed that whenever he passed, he was still the same person that I dealt with when I was a child. He was still the same person creating traumas for people. He was still the same person lying, still the same person doing all these different things that he was doing whenever I was a kid. So for me, I feel like that definitely made it a lot easier for me during that process because of the fact that
you cut him off.
Yeah, I cut him off, and like to me, like I realized, I feel like I made a great decision because throughout his whole life, he never changed. He never became a better person, and for that, it's like, did I ever miss out on anything? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for me, I feel like that is what brought my closure to me.
And it's still sad, right? Like it's sad that this motherfucker didn't learn. Like
it is.
Like I've been at a point where I feel like I thought I could cut my pops off, right?
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't. Way different situation for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But even with that said, just cutting somebody off and then hearing about their passing can fuck with you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that I've always thought about, because I've had a lot of people ask me before. Every time I tell them, like, I don't speak to my biological dad, they've always been, you're probably late, but my biological dad passed away.
I assume. I'm trying to put two together right now. I'm just sitting here just listening.
He started doing the science. He was like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh shit.
But every time I talk
to a gay joke.
every time I talk to people and tell them like, hey, I was supposed to my biological dad in over 10 years or whatever. They're always like, oh, do you ever think that you're gonna like regret that in the future and stuff like that? And who knows? Maybe
you
when
could
I
have.
Yeah, and maybe possibly if I didn't have that conversation with that girl, maybe that might have happened. But honestly, I think at this rate, I don't think I'll have to worry about that. But who knows? Maybe I'm 75.
It helps with closure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Closure is like a weird thing when it comes to grief and people passing and shit like that.
Yeah.
But whatever helps.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a fucking perfect science. Like it's a weird thing. Like you don't know how you're gonna feel, whether it's good or bad when somebody passes, and then all the after effects and shit.
Yeah. And I kind of felt like, me adding on to this, is that I kind of felt bad for that girl too, because we had the conversation about everything, and she was like, oh, so basically it was like confirming everything that I was telling her about what happened with me, and like it's still going on. So she was really upset that, he lied to her family and stuff like that. And that's, like he's put him in a bad position. And then she was living with him in an RV, because she's going to school, I think, in Utah, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God, that sounds like the perfect formula for like abuse.
Yeah. So
RV,
in Utah?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Fuck.
Yeah. But anyway, so like the mom and the younger girl were living in Wyoming, and then my biological dad and her were living in Utah in an RV, and he just moved out there. And then he went to the hospital for his quadruple bypass surgery. And then whenever he came back, he was like, oh, I'm taking the RV and going. Like, you have to figure shit out on your own. He just left her homeless. And then he went back to Wyoming and like passed away a couple of days later. So like she was saying that like she was like at his passing, she was like she wasn't really on good terms because she was upset with him. It's like basically leaving her homeless in Utah. Yeah. Like she's going to college out there, left her homeless. Luckily she found like a friend that was willing to like, hey, you can stay with me. But basically he left her homeless out there. So when I was writing her, she was like, oh, like I'm really like, she's like talking about how she's devastated that her last conversation with him, really, she was like, upset with him about the fact that he was taking an RV and basically leaving her homeless and going back to Wyoming.
Which comes to the interesting point.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, do you have to fucking... does everybody deserve flowers when they die?
No, exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that
right?
And that's one of the things we wanted to get to, is that like sometimes we talk about how like, every time you see somebody pass away, you see like, rest in heaven. I know you're in heaven. I know you're doing good, blah, blah. But not everybody makes it to heaven, bro. Not everybody. No, facts, bro.
No, that's true.
If you're out here gangbanging and you're selling drugs and you're killing people and like consistently, if you're like a fucking mafia hitman or some shit like that, and then you get hit, you know what I mean? And then like you die, it's like, do you really think that gangbanger that was fucking out here selling drugs and fentanyl and overdosing people and killing people, do you really think that they went to heaven? But all their family members are saying, rest in heaven, rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I might get hate for this.
And it's a blurry line, right? Like,
it is.
I feel like what you're talking about is not everyone. Like, I feel like everyone in that category gets love and flowers when they die.
Yes.
Some deserve it. Some were in a lifestyle.
Absolutely. Some were influenced and some didn't deserve it.
Some were just fucking pieces of shit.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, why do we care so much about leaving a good legacy if leaving a bad legacy, you still get flowers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I mean, the flowers and the praise, I feel like is more so, not even the praise, the flowers and the kind of like rest in peace, go to heaven type of thing is, I feel like it's routine based. It's not something you carry in your heart and your soul. Like,
It's
I
temporary.
really want, like, you don't really truly feel that way. You're just saying it because it's something you say at a death, at a funeral. Yeah. But like for those that you actually love or care for, you actually mean that. You mean the words, and you actually, like, it resonates within you, like type of deal.
Yeah. Or maybe if you tend to hold a more positive legacy, maybe your legacy will live on longer and amongst the people.
That's true.
Because it's very temporary when it's fake. Not fake, but like
it dies out quick. You can forget
negative
quick
when there's more negative legacy.
Yeah, because you know what? We're talking about grieving, and part of that is not about his legacy. It's about their grieving.
Yeah, exactly.
What can I do just to
alleviate the pain?
Alleviate the pain, and it's
and that's what I was
this, and this is my last word to him in heaven or whatever the case is. Right? This is my hope. This is my thought process of this.
And that's what I was going to get at. Is I feel like a lot of people just do it out of comfort and closure of themselves, versus facing the reality of it all and being like, you know what, this person probably didn't make it to heaven. It's a lot more difficult to face that.
Yeah,
you lose a loved one, you know what I mean, and then even if the worst person that you know in the world, you lose them, right? The average person is going to want to face the closure and face the reality of, they're going to want to face it in the sense of like, oh, he went to heaven. You know, he had his moments on earth, but you know what? He's going to live it out in heaven. And even though that might not be the reality of it all, people that I feel like a lot of people say that and they do these things for their own closure.
100%. And then the added fact, there's two ways to go about it.
Yeah.
And there's like how you processed it with your situation. And then it's almost a blessing that she reached out to you and kind of provided closure before it even happened. But the other side is, even people that are pieces of shit get flowers, because I think part of the grieving process is that forgiveness, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's true. That is true.
Forgiveness is a big piece, and it's like, if I could just forgive this motherfucker and give him his flowers or whatever, then I could leave it in the past. And,
that's 1,000% true.
And I don't think one's better than the other.
No.
You know what I mean? Forgiveness is a big thing, but you know,
you can still forgive.
Not for everybody.
You can still forgive somebody and say "fuck you."
For sure.
Not everybody deserves forgiveness.
I just feel like a lot of those that created those bad legacies, those bad kind of omens, like, they become forgotten very fucking quick. I mean, once you get over that little initial forgiveness stage, you forget them and they become the back burner. Nothing reminds you of them. But those who have good legacies, they actually remain every year or so, popping up here and there again in your mind.
Yeah, like I was talking about Eric right before everything.
Yeah.
That was years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that John, Eric, my cousin, people like that die young, they don't ever get forgotten. You know, that's it's a wrap. But I was gonna say, the weird part about it too is, I think those that choose to forgive to help with their grieving, it's kind of like that person dying was the only way they could forgive them.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know what, this person ain't gonna affect me ever again.
Yeah, that's true.
This ain't gonna happen no more. This was shitty, but you know what? This person passed, and I could highlight the whatever positives there were, and that's the only way I could kind of forgive them. Do you feel that way a little bit, where you got a little bit of forgiveness? Like, it's a little bit of, I was right. It's a little bit of, you know what? I don't have to feel bad about the past 10 years, which is good. Well, but
yeah, I think, or
20 years, I mean.
So for me, like, I have forgiven him.
Years,
I have forgiven him for the things that he did when I was younger. And honestly, man, I prayed so much that he was a changed man. I prayed a lot just for the sake of everybody that was currently in his life. And a lot of my siblings, they stay connected in a sense. Like, like they'll have a conversation here and there, but they're not like close or anything like that. So I always prayed that, he was changed and he was a better person. Just for the sake of everybody that was involved in his life. Yeah. And honestly, I always hope.
It sounds like that. It was more about his most recent family situation. Is like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like I always hope that he rehabilitated and he treated them better than everybody else just because of the fact that like nobody deserves to go through that. But I think honestly, like I had forgiven him, but me finding out that he was still the same person, I was disappointed.
Yeah,
to be honest,
it's like it's sad still.
It is. It's really sad because you know, like I've forgiven him for what he did to us, and like in the back of my mind, I was like, he's treating these people better. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
He has to, right?
Yeah, he has to. Like, there's no way he's doing the same shit still. You know, he's been living for fucking 60 years. Like, he has to figure shit out right now. No, when I found it out, I was just like, I want to say a part of me was shocked, but a part of me wasn't.
Yeah.
But a lot of me was disappointed. It was just like, damn, dude, like you couldn't get your shit together this late in life. Like, how old are you? You couldn't live a moment in your life being the real you. You couldn't live a moment in your life being somewhat of a decent person. You know what I mean? Like your whole life, your whole life, you lived in the trenches, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just pull yourself out at any moment. And honestly, like I was disappointed to hear that he was still going on the same path and everything like that. It was definitely a disappointment. It's just like, damn, bro, like you really couldn't get it together. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like I said, it also kind of brought me closure in the fact that like I don't have to think like, okay, you know what? Then I missed out on his life or anything like that, which I don't think I ever would have felt that. But who knows if maybe in 10 years, because that's initially what I was thinking whenever I first heard everything about his passing. My initial thought process, like initially was I was just shocked and I thought about everything and I was like, oh, I hope his family's okay. But like as I was thinking about like me, I was more so thinking like, because I know it wasn't bothering me in this moment, but I'm like, is this going to bother me in the future? Is this something that's going to affect me in the future? And they're asking me like, do you want to go to his viewing and shit like that? And I'm like, I don't really, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, is there something I'm going to regret in the future not going or not? And like I'm trying to process like the different scenarios in my head and see
that's
like
a different thing, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to process the scenarios in my head. And like if I'm 70 years old on my deathbed, I'm going to be like, damn, I never went. And it's like something that I had like for like a thought later on in life. But I think me definitely speaking with them definitely solidified that.
You don't have to. You can still grieve and process the death differently, and however you do moving forward. But the good thing about it, at the very least, is you don't have to regret the past 10 years.
No, absolutely, yeah. No, and
imagine you hear like he changed and he was so good and he was great, and
I think a part of me, I think honestly, I think I would have been better if I would have heard that
a little bit. Huh?
I think it would have been better for me to hear that because I would have been like, that's fucking amazing. Like, damn, dude, you fucking did it. That would have been great. But I think that would have definitely maybe, I don't think it would have happened, but who fucking really knows what happens in the future, you know? Yeah. But who knows, maybe when I'm like 50 years old or something like that, maybe I would have thought like, oh, you know what? Maybe it would have been nice to get to know him before his time, the real him. But I don't think.
But that's why it's not a good idea, right? no, to cut somebody off or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons.
Because like it, you know, you don't know how you would have felt if he was good, right? Yep. Yeah, it would have felt better, but then you would have it made it weighed more on you because you'd have been like, fuck, I cut this guy off for the past 10 years. You know, I could have really got to know him, XYZ, and he was better, but it helps you not. That's why it's not a good idea, because it could have weighed on you way differently. But
honestly, man, I think that if I would have kept that relationship with him, I think it would have been way more painful. In the long run.
And that confirmed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was what solidified it, like put the stamp on it and was like, okay, I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Thank God I made that decision. But, and like I said, you know, who knows?
Yeah, it's weird, man.
It's one of those things that you really don't know. But yeah, I thought that would be like a good little topic to get off.
It's true, man. It's weird. And it's like, you can't judge people for how they act with death and shit. Like, cause that's grieving. Everybody processes shit differently. You know what I mean?
And that's something that like, I'm like, because for me, I see like a lot of my family members like talking how they're talking, and they're like sharing memories of him like that they know are false memories, like fake from what he was saying, stuff like that, and like they're like, oh, you know, he was this great person and did this and this and that. It's like, you guys have confirmed that his stories on this is false, is fake, and you guys are the same one sharing it, talking about how proud and everything like that you are. And it's just like, it's interesting to me. And I just wonder sometimes if what I'm really getting at is I wonder if death can cause make you oblivious.
It's just like when somebody when somebody's dies, it's kind of like you're not a being anymore. You're more of an idea, and whatever thought you had, it doesn't matter if it's true or not anymore because that person's not real anymore.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Same thing with like these rappers that die and then their album goes crazy and stuff. Like whatever you kind of thought was weird about that person, right? Like let's just say Young Thug passes away, and then like today you're kind of like, I don't know, he wears dresses and shit, and like he's kind of weird, or like Bad Bunny kisses dudes on stage and shit. Like I'm not gonna like ride for him that hard, but then when he dies, you kind of like that doesn't matter as much, I guess. Like you're just kind of like, who cares what he was like? You know, like those little things kind of go away a little bit, and then it's just the idea and the thought and whatever memories you had, it just kind of attaches that way. And then grieving affects how you attach those memories to that idea or that person. Yeah, man, it's not a perfect science. It's weird.
It is, and that's one of the things, man. Like, so, like, I had to catch myself because I was ready to write on their statuses.
We talked it out, though.
Yeah,
we talked it out.
Yeah,
I was ready to write on their statuses and be like, man, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, this is all bullshit.
Yep.
Why the fuck are you over here playing into it? And I'm like, you know what?
It's not your battle.
There's no point in me doing that because they know.
Yeah,
they know they're real, and then they're just probably just trying to find their piece or trying to make light of the situation. You know what I mean?
But that's why it's a fine line too, because I don't just like if somebody doesn't deserve the flowers when they pass away, somebody else and nobody deserves to be hated on when they pass away. Like it doesn't help. You know what I mean? Like who are you telling? You're just telling people that are going through their process or whatever the case is, and that understanding might help. That, you know what I mean? But
definitely,
because it's like when it's a person lying about their achievements and shit like that, you want to tell them like that's bullshit. You're lying to all these people. Look what you're doing. But not when you kind of know they're not doing it anymore. They can't do it anymore. They pass away. Then it's kind of like, you know what? Go ahead and deal with that idea. That like, you know, thought process the way you can, the way you need to. Because at the end of the day, now it doesn't matter. Yeah, you know. And it's kind of like I agree with nothing, and then I agree with flowers. The part where it's like hanging somebody after they pass away, it's like, what does that do? You know what I mean? Absolutely. It's like that person's not going to feel it.
And I agree with that. There's no point in hating on it, but my thing is why celebrate it? Yeah. That's how I see it. That's how my mindset is that you don't got to hate on the person, but
don't reinforce the lies.
Yeah, exactly.
That they had.
Don't reinforce and celebrate it. But you know what? Maybe
that's their way of dealing with it. Maybe
exactly. That's maybe their way of dealing with it. So
emotions.
Exactly. That's why I decided to delete my comments. I didn't.
But you know, they're truly happy. They're going to be talking about them a year from now. Wait 1 year from now, and let's see if they're talking about them anymore.
Oh, exactly. But you know what? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, man. That's we're doing a quick one now because we got a guest coming.
Got you.
So that's why we're like, let's do it now, so we don't have to be here late for the double up. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's grieving. That's the episode. We haven't done a weekly success and failure. You guys got one different or new that you want to get off? I feel like that's the new vibe for this segment. We don't have to go every week. You know what I mean? Otherwise, we're gonna talk about we don't work out and shit all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
I've been working out strong.
You guys got something that you want to get off?
I did have stuff, but I didn't write it down.
I just got a success. And believe me, some weeks I'll have just a failure, but I've been fucking busy. I got a promotion at work or whatever, and
my dog's a senior accountant.
Yeah,
26 years old. Phew.
And it came with responsibilities, and there's this big, transition phase for what I was doing and stuff. And it's weird because I went from knowing a lot about what I do to like going into an area where that does not matter. No. You know, but I'm equally as effective and needed in a tool. Yeah. But like that whole side that you have, like it matters, but it matters like little moments. Yeah. So you don't like make bad judgments or think stupidly about things because you're like, no, because this process, or whatever. But it was weird. I'm not going to lie. Like I have to learn new things and stuff in another area. Just dumb stuff, but it is just new things. But the success for me was like, thinking. I've been really, the quote that's been in my mind the past couple of weeks is just like one thing at a time. And I think there's a lot of people that go through shit, whether it's personal or work or, you get that overwhelming feeling. And I think those that crumble are those that can't say in their mind, like, yo, one thing at a time. Like, just breathe.
Yeah.
It's those that go, I gotta do that, this, and like they can't, like you can't even do one thing effectively because you know you got all these other things going on and this and this and that. So success for me because I've been effectively thinking that way and doing it. But just advice for those that, in those moments that you feel like you're doing too much or you're pushing. Because you know what? I'm only 2 weeks in and I'm getting used to that pressure. I'm getting used to that workload. So yes, it just takes time and you get used to it. It's just like working out. When you put more weights on the bench or whatever and it's like, oh, that's different. And the next thing you know, you're repping it. It's the same thing. But the only way you can really get there is one thing at a time. Just like it's one gym day at a time. Just like it's whatever the case is at a time and you'll get there. But I know some people that can't do that. It's just you're limited in everything because of this overwhelming moment. And to take a breath and just go one thing at a time, boom, good, done, and then it kind of starts to translate and you start to figure out like I could do this, I could handle this, like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I could be better. This doesn't have to affect the house, like I could do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine.
Absolutely.
That was a success for me.
Dope.
I want to drop a goal for myself.
Let's go.
Just because of the fact that, like, whenever I'm exercising, stuff like that, I'm working out and I'm doing good, stuff like that, I do amazing. But as soon as I do something out of my normal routine, it really fucks me up.
It's like
and
all progress done.
Yeah. And vacations are a big proponent to that.
Yo.
Because before vacations, I'm like, gotta make my money. And then after vacations, I'm like, gotta make my money. But leading up to my vacation, I've been doing good, consistently doing that. But my goal is that when I come back from my vacation from Vegas, I want to consistently do that. And my goal is while I'm in Vegas to consistently keep doing that.
Yo.
I'm planning on going to the gym while I'm in Vegas too. But I'm hoping whenever I come back, I don't want to say hoping. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. I'm gonna focus on trying to keep that consistency because I've vacations have killed myself,
man.
And like diet wise and just like fitness wise and everything like that. And I think it's mainly just because of the fact that like I don't get PTO, right? In the normal way that everybody else does.
Yeah.
So my PTO is paid out of my account in arrears to me. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like when I come back, I'm like, I got to replenish. And I've been trying to replenish before going, but still, I know how my mind works. I know when I come back, I'm going to be like, I didn't get no money last week. I gotta hustle.
Yeah,
so
bro.
It's going to fuck with my mind. So I'm going to try to like definitely kind of control myself and try to like, okay, you know what? You want to work, you still got to go put that work in the gym before you go do your work. So I'm going to try to focus.
Consistency is key. You don't have to go hard. I think being consistent is better than going hard.
Yeah. And that's something I've been doing. I've been trying to like with my meal plan that I've been doing. I've been trying to like focus more on adherence than anything. Mm-hmm. And the meal plan that I'm on has been amazing just because of the fact that it's so different than anything I've ever done. You're not cutting carbs to the point where you're like starving yourself. The whole idea is just slow, gradual weight loss. Yeah. Over a long time. That's what that's the whole idea behind it. So I'm able to eat carbs. I'm able to eat. I can pretty much eat anything that I want. I just got to balance it. Yep. So like if I eat something fatty or carby, then I just have to eat a little bit cleaner for the rest of the day. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
it's with exercise and health, bro. And we're gonna get to it on the next episode or whatever. Yes, sir. But consistency is key, and slow growth is better than going hard and stuff like that. And that goes to everything, bro. Like.
It's different, man.
Yeah, it goes like this podcast. I like doing slow growth more so than going viral and then trying to weed through that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Work. I talked about a moment where like when you feel overwhelmed, just breathing and going one at a time. Yeah. Part of that is because my transition at work was not slow growth. It was big and immediate, which is what you want, right? Like we talk shit like, yo, fuck that dude. I got this. You know what I mean? This and that. And yes, but at the same time, it's like, it's not slow growth. It's here you go, you know, and the way to, there's breathe and one thing at a time, but on the other side, don't get mad at the slow process or the slow build, because that's the way of doing it right. Yeah. Exercise is the greatest example.
Yeah, and that's something I've been struggling with a little bit. I mean, I guess I can consider that a failure in a sense, but like that's something I've been struggling with, but I feel like I've also been doing a really good job keeping my head afloat with it, is that normally, whenever I'm trying not to call what I do a diet right now. I'm just calling it a meal plan because I'm just planning my meals. Yeah. Because honestly, it doesn't feel like I'm dieting. I'm eating so much food; it's amazing. But usually, whenever I diet, Usually whenever I diet,
weigh your food.
Yeah, which I still do for the most part. Weigh most of my food and track my stuff, but on a whole different level. But for like what I usually do with everything is like I'm cutting carbs so hard, but I'm usually able to lose a pound every 2 days.
Yeah,
I can shred weight like a fucking beast, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's kind of been fucking with me on this one because instead of shredding a pound every 2 days, I'm shredding a pound and a half every week right now.
Yeah.
So it's like that slow growth, and like it's mentally it's fucking with me because some days I wake up, I'm not used to like me dieting and working out like I am. I'm not used to me waking up a half pound heavier than I was the day before.
Yep.
And I have to keep telling myself, like, bro, relax, because you woke up today a half pound heavier, but you're gonna wake up tomorrow a pound and a half lighter. It's just a process. Trust it.
Mateo's a good example. He lost a lot of weight recently, but like, remember back when he was skinny, or like almost too skinny? He was like, he was kind of saying, and it's interesting. He was like, it took me way longer to lose this weight, but I feel so much better. And and it's like he's skinny, but he's like fit. Yeah. And it's like a different type of healthy, you know, and it's like that's the way to fucking do it.
Yeah. The meal plan that I'm doing right now is considered like a recomposition style, and the whole idea behind it is that you're losing fat slowly, but you're building muscle at the same pace you're building you're losing fat. So you're actually eating. Basically, what it is it's like a slight calorie deficient clean bulk.
Yep, that's it.
That's actually what it is. It's what it is. So that's what I've been doing, and it's great because I'm eating, man. I'm getting to able to eat like. I just had to cut my carbs for like my thing, but I'm at 189 grams of carbs a day. 200. I'm eating between like 240 to 270 protein.
Nice.
My fats are 56 grams. So nice. that's tough, but that's basically where my macros are at right now, and it's been slow growth. And like the great thing is I've been noticing great muscle growth. Like I'm getting stronger. The energy I have in the gym is fucking insane. Like. I need to figure out how to push myself harder.
Yeah, bro.
Because I feel like my workouts are not hard enough right now.
Yeah, bro.
It's crazy because my energy levels. That's the carbs, bro.
Yeah, but like
every time I work out in the gym, bro, I'm living off of like 40 net carbs. Like I'm cutting carbs. Like I don't have no energy. Now I'm in the gym. I'm like,
like a fucking monster. Yep. But that's another week. That's it, man.
Yep.
Good topic. Good episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Again, whatever platform you're on, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let somebody know about the podcast. We love the following we got right now. We love the slow growth. We love what we're doing. Thank you guys. That's it, man.
Paco, watch out.
Paco, watch out.